Hey, are you struggling with trying to create new courses, new pages, new community rooms while you have an existing business? Well, in this lesson, we're learning all about staging servers. So that way you can have other servers that you use to test and build new stuff while your existing customers keep using your systems and they work 100%. So let's learn all about staging servers. Hi, I'm Angel from rtcourseexperts.com, and we help creative teachers with tech for their online courses, membership communities, and coaching websites. In this lesson, we're learning all about staging servers. What is it? Why use it? How to set one up, and then we'll go over an example just for creative teachers. Finally, we'll wrap up with our best tip. Welcome to the lesson on staging servers, or also known as environments. We have a test environment for the staging server and a production environment. First of all, what is a staging environment? A staging environment is a separate test server that you use to create and preview new content, right? So it's a special dedicated server. It's a different database, it's a different server, it's a different address. Most people don't know about it, only you and your team. And it's a special server that you use to test and deploy and create and tweak your new content. And then once you're good, you move it over to production. So why would you use a staging server? You use a staging server to avoid creating or making big changes on your public server because customers are actually using your public servers. They're using your community, they're using your courses, they're using your website. You have ad campaigns. There's a lot of activity on your production servers. Since there's so much activity on your production server, you don't want any experimental stuff to pop up unless you want to do a beta of some sort. If you're in the middle of construction and you have a Frankenstein creative course, create coaching website, and you're still figuring out the images for the writing or fashion or audio visual, whatever it is that you're doing, if you're still figuring that out and experimenting, tweaking, moving, and some of it might be really ugly. You might have the fake text like text goes here. You don't want that on your production server. That's why you want to use staging server, get all that going there. In case you make a really big mistake, you don't want that bringing down your production server. Again, you want to play around on your staging server, your test server, get everything going. And then once it all looks good, then you send it to the production. Your current customers didn't even realize it happened. That way you experiment, you take as long as you need to for your creative process to build out those systems, those pages, that content. And at the same time, your current customers can keep being happy because they're getting what they paid for, or your new prospects are seeing a fully functioning server. They're not seeing anything wacky, so you're not going to lose opportunities that may have been showing up while you're doing your experiments. So that's why you want to use the staging server. Let's get into a how-to guide. First of all, what are the benefits of a staging server? Let's just go a little deeper here. Your main site keeps working. So your main production site, the one that's serving customers, the one that's delivering content, the one that's converting prospects into future customers, that keeps working while you're experimenting on your test server. You can also keep testing without affecting your users. So that's awesome. You could try new plugins, you could try new features, you can mess around with your theme and your colors and try all sorts of stuff. And it's not going to affect your existing users and customers. Then next up, you're not going to want to break what's working. You have a version 1 out there of your different features and services. You don't want to break it. Maybe you're trying to make it slightly better. Maybe you're adding a whole new main menu or a whole new course or a set of rooms or PDFs or resources for your students. So you want to be able to add that new stuff, experiment with that new stuff without breaking what's working. With your staging server, you can verify all your updates and features. Maybe there's a whole team. Maybe you're using a tech agency like RT Course Experts to help you. Or maybe you have designers and other teammates, social media, a VA, helpers that know about your specific industry, design and writing and fashion and whatnot. These people can test out and try out and give you feedback on whatever it is that you put up on your staging server. So that's pretty cool that you can do that. You can control access to your staging server. First of all, not only by keeping the address and the URL and the IP address and all that stuff hidden, and you only give it to whoever needs it, but for each of your different helpers, maybe you have a designer, or maybe you have a tech helper or a marketing person, they can just log in and you give them rights to tweak whatever they need. They could try it out as a user, or they can log in and do tweaks based on their role. If they're a video editor, a graphics designer, a writer, a marketing person, they can come in and do just what they need to do on the staging server. Then later, you as the leader or your managers can verify that everything's working before you bring it to production. Finally, you can debug and test everything slowly at your own time. It's not like a movie where you have 30 seconds to take apart the bomb or try something, right? You can go ahead and take your time, little by little, get your stuff ready the way you like it, your quality, your voice, everything the way you like. Then do you actually deploy? Because if you were messing around with the production server, you might have to feel bad and do it at night. But what if even students from another location were using your system? So with the staging server, you take your time, you verify it, you tweak it. Whenever you're ready, you ship it over. You can have it ready. You can let it soak for a few days. And then you decide, okay, hey, we're going to launch on Friday night, and I bring everything over. All right. So that's pretty cool that no pressure. You can just go ahead and experiment, get it right, and then whenever you're ready, you launch into production. Let's talk a little bit about actually setting up a staging server. So you're going to want to create a different server. As an example, if you're using a hosting plan for a website, you might have a separate server. Maybe it's not as expensive. You might decide that this server is slightly cheaper, or it doesn't have as big of a hard drive. So there's memory and there's hard drive consideration. There's speed and bandwidth. There's a lot of other considerations. So you don't need to clone the exact production server. Although, if you have the money, it would be nice to be exactly the same. But most people use a kind of lower level staging test server. Then you're going to want to import from whatever it is that you previously had. So if you have a production server and you're about to start building this new thing, you take a snapshot, a backup, download the files that you need, and then you bring that stuff into the staging server so that your staging server starts with kind of a copy of what you have in production. You're going to copy the database, maybe some users, some blog articles, some lessons. You're going to bring that over. So that way, your staging server, you can make your tweaks, but it's also representative of what's going to happen later when all the new pieces are working together with your old pieces. When you're working on that staging server, you're going to want to control access. You're not going to just link to it. You're not going to share URLs to it. So you want it to be hidden. Even as you're experimenting and you're taking baby steps forward where it's that new thing, maybe it's a new lesson or a new module or a new sales page, as that stuff starts to get ready, you're not going to necessarily want to bring it live all the way through. So you might first start off by bringing some features into production but you may hide it. You're not going to maybe show it on the main menu, or maybe it's just this hidden link. It's not just about people who show up on your website, but it's also about Google and search engines. You may be working hard for years to get Google to know all your different pages and to value and know that you're the authority on different design, making, video editing, photography, whatever it is that your jam is. Google's watching. But as you make some changes, you don't want Google to send people to that new page that you're not really ready. So again, get it going on staging. Ideally, it's all complete, that whole new feature, and you bring that in and you publish it to production. But if you need to, you can also do it in phases where you have like a mini feature and you send that to production, make sure it works there, but it's hidden. And then sometime later, it's in production and it's fully visible. It's a real chat room in the community. It's a real course or it's a real coaching service that you provide to your clients. As you're using your staging server, it might take a little while to develop your ultimate content the way you want it. You might have a wireframe, or you might have the text or the pictures come in later, or maybe the call to actions, you're not sure, or the colors. So you can go ahead and keep testing that content on a staging server. You can have several versions of it, even on your stage. It doesn't matter. Nobody's looking at it. So you can have like just two versions just to see how they compare. Like, oh, hey, let me try a different like hero, or let me try a video sales letter at the top. All these different things you can experiment with because it's on staging. It's not affecting anybody. Your team can do these experiments, try it out 2, 3, 5 different versions, evolve it, tweak it, and whenever you're ready, that final content that's polished, you can go ahead and promote that up into your production server. One final tip: before you move your staging content to the production, you're going to want to make backups before you bring anything to your production server, before you add any new pages, just in case, especially if you're messing around with some of the stuff under the hood, the plumbing, the engine, the APIs, the features, the certificates, the hosting, the databases, any of that complex stuff. Even if it's not complex, it's just good practice. You would want to make a backup of your production environment, then go ahead and bring your new staging stuff over. After you're done, do another backup, because you never know. Maybe something bad happens a few hours or a few days later, and you just want to make sure that you're doing those backups. Make sure that some of those backups are offline. It's silly to make a backup and it's right on your same server. It's just a good tip that I've done this for a while. Hey, just a quick reminder, you probably found this by looking for ideas on how to improve your training business. But before you forget, please subscribe to keep learning, and maybe share this with a bestie. You rock. Let's keep going. I'm going to do that whole section over. Now let's check out an example. So we want to talk about an example about how you would use a staging or a test server, a staging environment. So let's use a toy design expert for this particular example. So this toy design expert, they worked in the toy industry for years and years. Now they have courses, a community, they do coaching. Let's talk about how this toy design creative teaching business would use test servers. First of all, let's go over what this person might have on their production server. They have a production server, they have a community, they have a course system, they have a website. It works reliably, 24/7. It has leads, they're doing transactions, it's this marketing engine, so that's great. And they might have several servers for different things, or in one case, they have several servers just for the website because toys are booming and a lot of people have ideas and the economy. For whatever reason, they decided to have two production. In this case, the toy designer realized that their web traffic and their speed of their website was slowing down. So they decided to have two web servers just so that they can handle the load at certain times a year. Hey, these servers are fast. They deliver quickly. Their production. He's gone and tweaked the settings on those WordPress settings, the hosting, the DNS, all that stuff, so that they're fast and the people that visit right away see stuff. And so he doesn't lose any visitors, and he's able to convert with a high quality experience. And the website, the courses on the different systems, maybe he's using Teachable or Thinkific or Podia or Samcart, all that stuff is solid. So it's working, and he has content that's there that works reliably. The images, the video, all that stuff is working. This is a production system. And he has a team of users for these different systems. He has a tech helper, a marketing person, an admin. He has two junior designers that go in there and help with the community and do some coaching. Each of those different people on the team have different roles for the different servers, and it's very carefully structured, and it works. It just works. So that's the production environment, okay? Now let's talk about this toy designer teacher starts to use test servers. He or she doesn't want to mess with that existing, all these servers. So the toy designer decides to maybe launch a new course or launch a new chat area in the community. So there's no pressure by using a staging server. You can go ahead, you can tweak the course, the lessons, the curriculum. You can change out PDFs, you can change out the videos, you can add some fun music. So, all these sort of things. So, this is great that this business owner can just go ahead, not have pressure, because maybe this particular business owner is doing a lot of the work on Saturdays. Maybe he has a full-time day job or not, or maybe he's busy coaching during the week. No time pressure. He has the staging server. He can experiment with the content, and it's just great. And then also, different contractors could come in at different times. It could be the middle of the night. It could be based on availability. They're going to do something next Tuesday. With a staging server, you don't have to worry. It's not like you're affecting your current users. And with a staging server, it's only viewed by your team. Or maybe you have a set of friendly people that you send to a staging server. Here's a survey. I'm thinking of launching this new course. Can you guys check it out? Or maybe it's just your internal team that tests it. You don't have to worry so about who else is going to see it. Maybe you don't want to reveal your cards. Maybe it's like confidential and like a strategy that, hey, this holiday season, you're going to launch this thing. You don't want to even mention it on your production web server, or you might just tease it out, but there's nothing, those buttons or links don't go anywhere because they're all the content is on your staging server. And with your staging server, you can experiment. You can do these different experiments. If something doesn't work out, you can go back and start over. You can tweak. You can go back to yesterday's version. Nobody's going to know. And it's whatever your creative process is, whether you're working in design or fashion or writing or making or performing, whatever it is that your process is, your time, you can go ahead and do those experiments. You can take baby steps forward. You can split task. Hey, here's two versions. Let me see which one I like better. You can do all those experiments with no pressure by having staging and test servers. Maybe you're working on a wood toy article or a wood toy course or a resource like a lead magnet. You can load that up. You can get those ready, the images, the text, the flow, where you click this and this other thing happens and you get signed up to your email list, all those things. You can work that out on your staging server. The cool thing about a staging server, it's not like you're leaving your production and then you're just going to start on a white piece of paper. You can leverage everything that you previously had. So you can bring your existing website, your existing community, you could tweak out, you can hide things. So you only focus on just that part that you're trying to rebuild, or that part, that new feature, that new set of resources or digital products that you need. Finally, with the staging server, you can deploy some or all of the final content when you're done. So you may have done various experiments and you're like, okay, this is the part that I want. So that's the stuff that you copy over or you export or you upload to the entire thing. If you like everything the way it is, then you bring all that stuff back into production. But the point is, you can experiment with just one or multiple pieces. You can go ahead and when you're ready to go launch, you can bring back one part or multiple parts back into production. And so you keep the process going there. If there's various things going on with the toy design courses or the community or the coaching pages or any other things, an ebook, you can get all those things working on a staging server. Because remember, in some cases, it might be a really simple component, one thing, and you just bring that over. And in other cases, it might be complicated. It might be two or three things. You're doing this one piece, you're fixing the menu, you have a parent screen that explains your offers. You might be touching a handful of things if you're broadly serving, if you have a wide range of products and services. The staging server definitely makes sense in that case. There are several things that are all being updated simultaneously, and then you're going to bring all, once you're done, you're going to bring all those different things to production. In the end, creative businesses that teach online can use staging environments to let you play while also having a production environment that's stable 24/7. This will help you get better results. So that way you can keep the performance and the quality and the premium prices that you're charging, while also innovating and not having any barriers to experiment. You can go ahead and experiment broadly, deeply, come up with some really cool ideas with a staging server. But without a staging server, you might be terrified to break every part that is working. Yeah, so staging environments can really help you out once you're at that right stage of the business. So let's summarize. Here are the top things you need to know about staging servers. So use a staging server so that way you can experiment while your production server keeps serving your existing customers. Once you have a staging server, you can experiment as slowly or broadly as you want. And whenever you're ready, you bring that stuff into production. In an instant, that production environment just got upgraded, and nobody that's using your existing servers, like your courses, your communities, your coaching websites, they don't have to see the Frankenstein middle step, right? In a blink, the new stuff just gets upgraded, and that's it. So it's really useful to have a staging server where you don't break your production server. And that's the whole metaphor. That's the whole point here. It's the point where you're beyond that one server and you actually have a main server and some test servers. That's the main point here, where you have a production server that's 100% 24/7, and you have a test server that lets you experiment. So now you're a lot smarter on staging environments versus production environments. And you can have a path forward as you grow your business to go from that one little server when you didn't have that many customers to large servers that support your hundreds or thousands of customers, while also having a test server that you use to experiment without affecting your existing community. If you're loving this stuff, go ahead and subscribe to keep leveling up your training business. To learn more, check out the expanded details and links in the notes. And if you need any tech help with your online courses, your membership community, or your coaching website, visit www.rtcourse.com. Thanks for hanging out. Let's stay in touch.